So it's just about 4 on Friday. And I have a bunch of stuff going through my head, and I did not want to wake up at all. I was just like, I don't know. I'm in that being really out. And I can't, I swear to God, it's just like everything is just blending into everything. Because being asleep is like being awake, and being awake is like being asleep. It's just weird. It's kind of because, yeah, in a dream, when you're going around doing things, it is the people in the dream, even sometimes they shift, and they turn into somebody else. But yeah, it's weird because, on a certain level, everybody is playing a different part of themselves. And there's all this shifting and stuff. I don't know. It's just weird. It's so weird in the conversations and stuff. And, like, with my mom, like these simple little things. Like, she could be bitching about, like, I can't stand people to tell me what to do. And then, a little while later, start telling me what to do. Well, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this. And it's just like, that kind of stuff. It's like people don't think of that or something at this point in time. There's so many things that, let me see, because I just said another one that hit me on that one. Oh yeah, because it's just weird stuff like this. Like, Stella was having this thing too. Max is having a thing. Like, that's why I'm saying that it's not just us ascending. They're all going through a thing too. And so yesterday Stella went up and she was out in the back, and then she wanted to come in because she really wants to see what the other dogs are doing. And I don't know, she just wants more freedom, just like they all do. No, they don't want to just live in the downstairs in the garage and in the little tiny yard thing. But anyways, something was still wanting in and out and stuff, and she's like, what you need to do is get a place that she has her own door and stuff. I was like, you mean like what I had, what I just had? It's like, sometimes it's like you realize, like, I'm an older person and I've lived on my own, right? And like, it's so weird. Some of the conversations, it's just like, I don't know. It's just like that all the time. And to me, it's kind of feels draining. Like, because like, she lived alone and I lived alone. And she thought, that she was a lot more maintained or something. And to me, I was the one who was way more isolated. I really wasn't talking to people all day. Like, I talked to you guys, but I really am not talking to people all day long. Now I'm around her, it's like, she's talking to people all day long. She's got 10 people freaking texting her in the morning. If they can't get her on text, they're calling her. It's just all day long. And she's always talking. And when I go upstairs, she's ready to talk. And to me, really am used to the, just like, I'm in my own head. I'm good. We don't have to talk. We can just, sometimes having conversations, talking about what's going on, but just like, all the time. And little things like that. Like, well, you need to get a house with that, where you have a door that she can, and it's like, yeah, she could open and close the door. Well, she didn't always close it, but she did sometimes. But she definitely knew how to open the door. She couldn't do the big door, but in the summer, I just had the one door, so she could do that door. She just went in and out, did her own thing. And she likes to be outside all the time. And anyways, but, I have my own life. I have my own things. And it's just all the time being told, well, you need to do this. It's like, well, you know what? You need to make sure you use a glass bowl to make sure bright. Like I was doing at my own house when I had my dishes, you mean? It's like, what? And, so anyways, just stuff like that. It just seems like weird, but anyways, but she's used to the talking and stuff all the time. And it's just weird because she thinks like, oh, well, I'm never around anybody. I don't talk to anybody. It's like, you talk to people all day long, man. And, but it is also funny because now in this energy now it's starting to really drain her. she's starting to be like, oh my God, everybody needs something from me. They're calling me, they're texting me, and all that stuff. And she's just like, and it may be because, I mean, she's got a lot of tension in her jaw. She's having a really hard time with her jaw. And she's got all this stuff going. Like, she's going on this trip this weekend, she's leaving. And so she has, and her son's sick, but she's going into the hornet's nest, man. Is when you are awake and the other people, because even on mine and hers, like, I'm awake to like a broad spectrum of concepts and philosophies and things, and there's more limitation in a lot of people's awakening, and a lot of people keep themselves stuck on one thing, and they don't even look at anything else. They just are focused on this, focused on that. And so when you have a broad spectrum, and you talk to people, it's like wide awake. And then you still, even people who are awake still are like, what? No. What was one? Oh yeah, because for so long, I have been saying everybody's sick because of environmental. They're spraying sickness on us. They're putting it in our food. They put it in our water. It goes through water treatment, that they add stuff into it, which apparently RFK is making it, they're having to get rid of the fluoride. Which, what's weird too about fluoride is I just saw this thing, and it said fluoride holds your vibration down. Like, you can't get out of the firmament if you have fluoride. But this guy was just reading these different things, and he's like, is that what's the deal? And I was like, I don't know. I just thought that was kind of weird, because they would put chemicals to keep us more in their world. But anyways, they're poisoning us, and that's just fact. But the dependency that does become with so many people, because that's one thing that just gets me, is medical dependency. And you try talking to anybody, and that's the problem with my brother's family and stuff like that. And so you, as somebody who has grown out of that or seen through that or whatever, and your way you see it, you have to conform your whole self to be able to go in and have like a conversation with people. You have to be on their level. It's got to be this certain way, and it's very Downersville, man. It's very, everything's out of your hands, and you got to take your medicine and wave that diagnosis flag, man. If you've got several, make sure everybody knows what you got and the struggles you have, and you try everything, you do it all. Well, everybody's doing it all except changing their lifestyle. It's like, there's a situation going on with one of my aunts, and she's, this is the sister group. My mom's the oldest, which I think I've already said, like, I'm the oldest daughter of the oldest daughter of an oldest daughter. So there's a line going. I have a daughter who's the oldest daughter. She has a daughter that's the oldest daughter, which is a unique, distinct kind of experience. So, and I don't know, it just really makes you super resilient or something. It definitely brings out a certain side in people. And so, let me think what I was going to say though. Okay, so my mom's the oldest, and then she had her sister that was right below, and then she was an artist, so. And then an artist that had like expensive paintings that were being shown and bought all over the place. Like, she was a artist that was making it, and she I don't know, she was like an outside of the box kind of person, and she traveled a lot and stuff, like back. And so at some point she was this is when we think, because she went to France, and it was after that, this bike ride thing across France or something. And so she ended up having, I don't remember if she ever got diagnosed with mad cow or how it started, but whatever it led to her, where they said she had early onset Alzheimer's, like at 50 or something. And it ended up killing her, just like Alzheimer's, in the same kind of way. And I believe it was a lot faster too with this early onset, but especially now in my understanding of what we're fighting against, the people and the sickness, is it was bacteria from eating some kind of meat over there, and that then she got parasite, and it just was eating her away from the inside, and so it was making her have dementia, and our medical is a big fat failure, so they just, as long as they're getting paid, they don't give a fuck. So, we can just die, or we gotta figure it out ourselves. But if you figure it out yourself, you can go tell them, then you just fucking pissed all over their ego, and then just fucking have you escorted out of their office. Get this fucking person out of here, boy. The ego, man, I swear to God. I got an argument with that one. It was just like wacky. I was like saying something about, well, the environmental poisons anyways. And she's like, what are you talking about? There's no such thing. She's just like, I was like, oh, what the fuck? So anyways, my mom, and then her sister, and then the next one is brother, and he was in Nam. He was a sniper, I think. He's got a whole thing too of, he was a very interesting person, and he was always jumping out of airplanes. He was very interesting. But anyways, so he's still around, and he's still going. And his daughter, or his wife, has autoimmune, and she's had it for a long, long time, which is, government-assisted sickness. So but the youngest one, so she's the youngest of all of these. And I know the stigma of having this person in your family who had early onset Alzheimer's. Then everybody's like, oh, you got the early onset Alzheimer's. So I was having to battle that with mine. It's like, so I got the early onset Alzheimer's. It happened suddenly when I got surgery. I went in, like, how's that? But the big boys club, or the good boys club, or whatever, the boys club of the medical in Spokane, they're like, oh yeah. They're not going to say, oh no, that guy insert, they're not going to say that. And even when I went to Seattle to finally get a fucking neurologist that would fucking say something, he said, but don't pull me into court. I'm not going to say anything over there. And then my attorney tried to pull him into court, and he refused. He didn't come. I think he might have sent some paper or whatever with his diagnosis. I don't know. But anyways, but my aunt, she is having the brain fog. That's how I look at it, the brain fog. But there's a whole lot of things going on, because also where everybody's family started splintering, and people started not talking to people and pairing up and going against this parent, going against people and families and stuff like that. She is also a product of that situation, where she has her older daughters won't talk to her, and they're the ones with the kids, and it was her, her family, and so she had all them to interact with, and now she doesn't work or anything either, and so, and now, she lives in this isolation, just her and her little dogs and her patio that she fixes, and her shopping for her cute decorations. But she had a store, and she still has so much stuff of that, and so she has a surplus of decorations. And so anyways, but that's, her thing, and she doesn't sleep right, she doesn't eat right, she doesn't really mind her health like that, like it's valuable or it has significance. There's lots of people like just live off fast food, live off Coke and shit like that. They don't think that it's not good for them, and that they could feel better or do better by eating better and taking care of themselves. It just doesn't cross their mind. And or they're resistant to it, but it's their story. It's what, everybody's here. What's crazy is everybody's about to have that record flipped. So their scripted record that was going is about to be flipped, and there's gonna be a lot of things that they don't know on the other side. They're gonna be trying to figure out those songs. But so she, because the way I look at it is an unhealthy lifestyle. She doesn't have any friend group or people to hang out with or talk, so she get depressed and be isolated because your family stops talking to you, and then kind of sink in to your own world. And then all of a sudden everybody's like, well, they're in their brain fog. They're going dementia and stuff like that. Which also, there's something with all these chemicals. There's tons and tons of people that have the dementia, the early onset dementia, the brain fog, all that. Like, that's one of the big things that people are concerned about. And so, to me, that's the chemicals and the parasites. So, and like I said, I don't care who thinks I'm fucking crazy anymore about saying this shit. It's just, it's fucking fact, man. And, so, anyways, I look at, like, fuck, man, you get in an art class, go to a cooking class, get some, go start having, like, making some friends, which gives you some things to do, some purpose, just because she lost all those people, now she's just getting smaller, her world's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. March is watching. But it could get, but you are the one who has to take the action and be like, you want something bigger, you want to feel better, so you can make these changes. So she could go, because I was telling my cousin, well, she could go to a cooking class. Why don't you guys start doing a cooking class together once a month or something? And she'll go meet some people, learn how to cook some good food, because she's always like, nah, I don't like vegetables, I don't like that, It's like, well, you just probably haven't cooked them right. You haven't had a recipe where it's like, because there's lots of people who say, oh, I don't like Brussels sprouts. Well, go try Parmesan Brussels sprouts that are baked with lemon and stuff on them. They're fucking fabulous. And a lot of people will like something with the way it's cooked. And so, but they won't like it in other ways. So you can learn how to cook a lot of vegetables in certain sauces or ways you prepare them or whatever, where it's like, oh, fuck, these are good. So, anyways, I was like, so she could go take a class and learn that. And she was an artist too. They were all artists, except my uncle, but all the girls were. So it was like she could go do an art class and make some friends there. She probably would even be able to tell people like, oh no, use this or do that. Like, she would probably make friends. And I was like, and there's senior centers, you can go up and take those classes and stuff. I say, show her that, get a schedule or whatever. Well, she won't do that. She won't do that. It's like, well, you can't save somebody who doesn't want to be saved. Somebody has to have that resilience, that desire, that drive to save themselves. And this is what we're all facing. Everybody's facing this right now. This isn't just one isolated family no, this is broad spectrum. That's why I'm talking about it, because I know lots of people are dealing with the same shit. And, so anyways, and if you are the person who keeps feeling like you've got to be the one who saved, you got to do this, you got to do that, you are taking that on. And you may have your own reasons. Well, I don't want to lose him. Well, I need this. Well, I don't want him to be sick. I don't want, and all that. You may have your reasons, but you handicap this person. They've got to, you can't, the tug of war, if you want to save yourself, I'm going to make you save yourself. That's a battle you won't win. Ask anybody who has had a drug addict or an alcoholic in their family. Like, is Al-Anon 101. You can't save them. You got to let them fall. You got to let them have their consequences. And that's the only way. And then they have to determine if they're going to save themselves. Everybody's got a different bottom. And so they have to find, where it is that they go, fuck, man, I got to do better. I got to take care of myself. I got to save myself. And so, and if you don't, then you're an enabler. Then you are a codependent. Then you're a control freak. So you need to learn for your own self how to step away and let people fall on their face. That doesn't mean you don't love them. And then we also have got to remember that we all meet up again. Like, this isn't your one-time shot with anybody. Everybody meets up again. All the people that you love are people that you love. Like, they're your people. You will see them again. And so it's not, because that feeling or whatever, of loss has a lot to do with the lack of your spiritual connection, because then it's just like, oh, they left, they're gone out of the game, but we'll see each other again. And sometimes sooner than later, sometimes people start like dropping like flies when their friend groups go. They all start going. But anyways, I keep having the weirdest cramps. It's like muscle cramps in my stomach. It's the weirdest thing, man. Um, so it's like when you get a leg cramp, like you move your leg and all of a sudden you get this cramp. I keep having that happen in my stomach. Don't know what the fuck, man. So when I was a kid, I had horrible stomach aches, but it was deeper inside the muscles. This feels more out, but I would get these spasms inside of my stomach. Oh my God, it was so painful. I would lose my mind. I would get taken to ER all the time. And then they'd always be like, we can't figure out what's wrong with her. And then when I was in nursing school and I started learning about the sphincters, you have sphincters like little doors all through from the time you go in the whole way through the system, these little sphincters that open and close to let stuff go. And so it's this little muscle thing. That's what I believe. I was having muscle spasms in these little sphincters, and they would tighten so tight and you couldn't reach them. There's nothing you could do. It would just be this muscle spasm tight inside of you. Oh God, it was painful. I had a lot of things when I was a kid. Fuck, just those nightmares of being eaten every fucking night. Or stalked. It was the stalked. I didn't see myself being eaten. It was the stalking. It was horrible. And I could feel it. Oh God, it was so intense, man. It wasn't just like an observation of dreaming it. It was feeling it, being back in the experience and feeling the being stalked again. It was horrible. So, and then, I know I got killed. I know it killed me. And that's a whole thing. I've talked about it before. But anyways, so to me, so my aunt has the fog. Okay. And then my cousin, who is very into the medical, she's also a medical professional. She's also, I don't know. When I was in the medical thing, I was on 18 pills, totally believed in the science and all that shit of like, what was there to save us and stuff. So, she said she's on 17 and she's the exact same, like, where you can't sleep if you don't have this. So it's just you're dependent on these things that are not fixing whatever the problem is. And there's so many problems that come from emotional stuff and come from past life, come from all sorts of stuff, and people won't recognize them. And then their symptoms, they just try and get something to hide their symptoms so that they don't have to deal with it. But all these different things, you need to deal with your emotions, and then you find yourself getting better. I don't know, because to me, to me was the frustration. I mean, they'd already tried to kill me. So, I mean, I felt like they would try to kill me more than once. I mean, the brain injury, but there's just other things too, at other times. I did not feel like that they were there for me. And then, so by the time that it had to do with more. I mean, it was a whole thing for me because I went through my dark night. So, yeah, because I was on 18. Man, they kept putting me on more and more and more. And then once I got the brain injury, it was like, I had guardianship. I had these people over me, and it was a whole thing. It was a battle to independence or something. And so, anyways, I was on tons of meds and go to the doctor, all this shit. And then, and I was getting sicker and sicker and sicker. Like I said, I felt like I was going to die. And every time I bring that up to my mom, she's like, oh, I thought you were going to die. I didn't think you were going to make it. It was like I was so fucking sick. And getting up and walking across the room was so hard. And so, anyways, I was at that. So the dark night, because it was like right in this same period of time, all this stuff. And so I think this, because because I was still taking, when I was after my husband left and stuff, and that's when my dark night had started, because that's when all of a sudden I saw my cycles. It was how it hit me first was when I all of a sudden, when he left, all of a sudden I realized like how much I was staying when I didn't want to be. I did not. It's like, what? You just start questioning yourself. Like, what was I staying for? Like, I wanted to leave so bad. Why didn't I go? And then you have to start facing the things, the things that hold you back, the loans, this, that, and while you put yourself aside. And anyways, so it led me into seeing my own patterns and stuff. So that is, it really threw me into this. What I didn't know what the dark night was at the time. I had no idea. And so I threw me into this really self-realization and really having to look at myself deep and hard. And it brought up, like all the things like my kids said and my behavior and all sorts of things. And so I had to like look at myself. And at some point you just are like, you hate yourself. You're just like, God, I'm an idiot. God, I'm so stupid. And you're just like so down on yourself, and it gets really depressing. That's where people start feeling super suicidal. Well, during mine, every time I would look at that thing, I kept seeing myself hanging, because they put these things in your mind. And so it was getting to me. I was super depressed. I was really down. I was really down on myself. And so when I went to the doctor, they gave me more meds. So I know I was still taking. And then when Lucy died, then I was like, I thought I was going to lose it. And when I think they added another med or something, but I just kept getting sicker and sicker and sicker. But my healing had already began on the self-realization part, the awakening, or the seeing yourself, the dark night thing. And because I had other healings along the way, but this was the one where you really look at yourself in a deep way, your ego, the rawness of your behavior and your attitude and stuff. So you see yourself raw, and it's hard. But that is where all of a sudden you got to realize you have to love yourself. Like, why would you be so mean to yourself? Why would you be so hard on yourself? You were trying, you were doing the best you could. So it's like you flip it, and then you start building yourself. That's why I'm always like, you got to learn to love yourself. You got to go through all of that, like, beat down on yourself and look at yourself in a hard, raw way and see, like, fuck, man. But then you got to be like, but you're a good person. Come on. I love you. And all of a sudden, it's like you start just like pouring love back into yourself. And then you start, like seeing like, oh my gosh, all these weird little parts of me. You go to school and somebody makes fun of you, and then you feel embarrassing. You become so hyper alert of yourself, and instead of just relaxing and just going with who you are and stuff. And that is where you can get into your own flow, just be your freedom of self. And we overthink it. We try and please others because we don't want to be embarrassed. We don't want to feel that feeling again. And but the more that we accept ourselves, that's why I said it's almost like you go back and you meet your inner child and you grab them by the hand and let's go forward together. You're okay. I'm okay. We're okay. And you just start going. And then up ahead, you're going to meet up with your higher self, the more evolved self. And then you're ready to pass the baton and go towards your best timeline. You have learned to love yourself. You've learned to let go of the past. You've learned to accept yourself, and not put so much pressure on yourself. When you learn to do that for yourself, you start doing it for everybody. Well, I'm not all bad, so nobody else is either. Nobody's all good or all bad. We're all just trying to find our balance, and we do stupid ass shit. And we hurt each other's feelings, and we hurt each other, but we all come in together to get those things, because that's, as soul is concerned, it's an obstacle. It's something for you to champion yourself, to overcome. So the things that hurt us are ways that we can overcome and become more, like the cut of the diamond, more pure, so we can become more pure of self. And so it's a positive, even though when you're in the work, in the drudgery, it feels like a burden. Like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, what is this life? What is life all about? Well, this is like going to work, like for us in this world, like where you think, well, you go to work. Well, this is the same kind of thing. This is just somewhere we go. This isn't somewhere where we exist. We exist on another plane of existence. This is just experience. And so, anyways, but people get so caught up in the stories and hating themselves and all of that stuff. But okay, I've got this open on a couple different things. Okay, so on the med things in the three-dimensional world. So I was there. I was deep into the three-dimensional world, taking all the meds and stuff. And then I got so sick, and and they were doing tests and everything. You had to wait so long in between and all that shit. And then it was finally when that doctor, and he was such a dick. Like, the way things go is the way they're supposed to go. Because he was such a dick. There was no fucking way I would have gone in and see this guy in his practice. Fuck off, dude. Think I'm giving you another goddamn red cent. And the arrogant ego on this fucking prick. It's like, fuck off. And so after the colonoscopy, they said, oh no, you're fine. And so then, it was just back to the drawing board. What the fuck? My mom's getting me these books of how there's lots of people out there struggling with this. They've got something wrong and nobody can figure out what the fuck's wrong with them. And so that's the thing. There's books now on it. So that's the thing. And so, it was very frustrating. And then about a week later, I get this call from his office. Oh, you've got colitis, and we need you to come in and have an appointment. We got to talk to you about treatments and stuff, which is always, that little red pill. Just get a couple of bottles of more of those. And but I had already been suspicious about the meds because, and it must be, my nurse background or whatever, but I was already suspicious because I had already gone to a pharmacist and asked them to evaluate all of them together and tell me if there was some interactions. And he said I was going to have 3 of them that were going to be attacking my GI, and I was going to have a bleed or something. He said, you can't be taking these together. And I told the nurse practitioner I was seeing, and she's like, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. But the door was open. I knew he did. And so then it was like, I don't know. The seed was planted, but no action was taken. Nothing had grown yet. And so then once the guy that said I had colitis, and I was really upset because my vision of colitis is not good. When I worked in the thing of the GI part, where the scope place, because I worked at one of those when I first got out of school, and colitis is bad. It's like it's a disease that starts eating up people's intestines, and they're very inflamed, and they have to get parts cut out. It's really, really bad. And so I was like, oh, you fucking kidding me, man? And I was really upset. And then I told my youngest daughter, and she's really good at looking stuff up and everything. And so she went and she looked it up, and she's like, well, there's 3 kinds of colitis, and I think you have the one that has to do with, it's microscopic. It has to do with meds. I was like, I fucking knew it. I fucking knew it was the meds. But see, I was going against my own self. I wouldn't want to, make waves or whatever. Well, that was the wave. That was it for me. That was the tsunami. And when she told me that was it. And then I just was like, I'm going off of all of them. And so I just went in and I went and looked up each one and saw which ones I had to wean off of. Because there's some you got to wean off of. And even on those, when you wean off of them, it will kick your fucking ass. Like, there's some of these antidepressants and stuff that take a long, oh man, and the withdrawal is hell. It's bad. So bad. And so, and I was having that with the Wellbutrin and the, I think there was another one I was on too. I don't remember. I was on so many fucking meds. And so, so I just dropped all those ones, because I had had the hysterectomy, and they had me on hormones because of this, because of that. Like, no matter what, they just ride your ass. You gotta have this, you gotta have that. And just, so anyways, I dropped all those things real quick. I think I had 2 or 3 that I had to wean down, and I did it like in a week or a week and a half. I was off. I was like done with all of them. I was like, fuck that. But that is also, like I said, when I was in horrible pain and withdrawal. Like, it was really fucked. And I had to collide. Like, I was fucking sick, man. And that is when my daughter started bringing me these hard candies and she was like, try this. And I was like, oh my God, I feel so much better. Oh, it was like, fuck, man. So, but there was a side effect because I wasn't used to smoking weed or anything. So it was like, it kind of tripped me out, but I would feel better. So it was like, well, I mean, any kind of meds they give you has side effects. So I was just counted it as a side effect. It makes you kind of feel spacey or whatever. And, but you can go to sleep or something. But anyways, that's when I got started on all that. And then it just shifted into, because I just liked smoke. I liked to sit around in the powwow in the big circle and everybody's sitting smoking and talking. I just love that. It just brings you back to the teepee, I swear. And then and then I just started liking, man, I just like to smoke, man. It just I don't know what it is. There's something very movie starish about it or something. It's just very like, it's just standing there. I don't know. It's very, I've got no problems. Just sitting here, just having a little puff. So I don't know. I like it though. And that's the only thing I do. I don't drink ever. I don't take any. I don't even take Tylenol. I don't take anything. And I took a Tylenol, I think, after my explant. I think I took one day and I took one the next day. And but I don't take anything. Where I was back taking all those meds and stuff, I don't take shit now. And I'm very anti-medical establishment. And then once you start awakening to the fucking laundry bullshit, fucking goddamn ass scratching fucking system we work in or live in, you start realizing the motherfuckers who are making the laws have sold you out to the motherfuckers who have the labs, and they're just doing all these tests and shit on us, and it's all fine and dandy. And then it's like, you just start seeing through the shit, man. It's like, no. And when you start realizing that the diagnoses and all that shit is a part of the whole fucking shenanigan. It's like they need the codes, and then on another level, it also beats people down. And the dependency on diagnoses, I just am mind blown. It is like people fucking take their diagnoses like they're so excited about them, and it's like wave them like a flag. Well, I've got this. This is what I'm dealing with. I've got this and this. I've got a little bit of this, and I've got 3 of these. And it's just like, oh my God, people, it becomes like the absorption of their existence. And it's like, well, that's obviously what these motherfuckers are trying to do, because it becomes your whole life. You know, your sickness, your diagnoses, your treatments, your this, your that. And it's like, oh my God. And so, anyways, my cousin is still in that medical. With my other family members, like everybody, there's not very many people on my level. Like, I sound like a kook to most people. And so, and that is, you know, like one of the reasons why I don't want to go to my brother's is like, I can't go and talk on this. I can't do this pretend thing. I can't do it anymore. And think I'm crazy. I don't fucking care. I don't fucking care. You don't realize, I mean, even right now, I mean, it's about as safe as you can get to say the craziest shit, because there's people out there like RFK and all these people showing this shit, and the other people who can't see it, it's like, well, it's coming, so you don't see it, I don't care anymore. It's just like, I'm not going to pretend. And so the medical establishment is not here for your health. It's not here to help you, and it is a complete surrender of your health, of your psyche, of everything. It's just here. Fix it for me. Here. It's like be my savior. Which the other day we were talking something about you know, people dying and not having anything to believe in, and my mom said, well, everybody needs a savior. I didn't say anything, because that's the very opposite of how my philosophy would be. Everybody needs to learn to save themselves and not be dependent on a savior. Figure out what you need and you do it for yourself. And so, but everybody, the dependency, the victim mentality is all this, save me, save me, save me, somebody save me, I can't save myself. And then so many people become dependent on other people's energy, and it's a whole toxic fucking thing, man. It's like these things don't improve our relationships. They don't improve our behaviors and stuff. We have to stop and look at things different and make changes. And a big thing about the victim mentality and this surrender your health and this dependency on a savior and all this shit. These are all things we're letting go. These are all things we're moving out of. These are the things that people have got to let go. These are the chains that hold you back. And so the, because to me, you know, on my end, it's simple shit. Like, start having interactions with people, start stimulating your mind again, and start eating right, start sleeping right, change your lifestyle, start taking care of yourself, and that brain fog is going to be dissipating. You're not going to see the same kind of thing. But no, it's like, continue that, and then go get all these tests, and then take some pills. And it's like, that is not what we need to be doing. And so, yeah, you can't get people to see that who don't see it, especially when they are very dependent on the same system. And the system is doing them proud. And it is weird because no matter what, when you talk to anybody who is very established in the medical system and see it as a positive, then everything is turned in this different direction. You can't get them to, you know, what you say just sounds kooky, and what they think makes sense to them. But see, this is the awakening. This is when people are going to see this in a more clear, structured way. This is going to come in and hit. It's not just one thing. There's going to be a whole bunch of things, because what the chains that bind people, the things that people hold back on. And so all these things have to fall apart. The chains have to be taken apart. Oh, which I just saw, I can't remember the guy's name. So the guy on TikTok was calling out the guy on YouTube, trying to give him a plug so that the guy on YouTube would get more attention, because he's been doing this really good work and he hasn't been getting enough people to see him. And so if you want to find out his name, I will look. I got the video saved. And maybe Amy will see this and she'll know who it is and she can put it in the comments too. But because I sent her the video too. But this guy who's on YouTube, he's showing all this information that Harriet Tubman and somebody else are made up figures, and that they were making up figures for the Black community to they're creating a history, which it's not just, they didn't just do it to the Black community, they've done it to all them. But this guy has found, like, these are made up characters, these aren't real people. Just the same way as when you find out Martin Luther King wasn't a good guy. He was like having the Diddy parties, he's at the freakouts, he's a LeBron. And we all think like, oh, he was such a great guy. No, he wasn't. And Harriet Tubman was made up. Rosa Parks, apparently, I think she was a real person, because weird that I had just seen something about, like, I don't know, she was like 90 or something, and was it in the 80s? I don't remember, but it was somebody who would have been more of a celebrity or something, gave her a bunch of money or paid for her part. There was some kind of thing. I don't remember the whole thing. I was like, whoa, she was still alive then. That's so crazy. You know, you would think like somebody like that would be getting lots of attention, wouldn't be like struggling in some dilapidated apartment or something. It's just like, that is so weird. I mean, there's so many weird things like in our, like just because nothing adds up. And who knows, maybe the Rosa Parks, like the story's way different. But anyways, so this guy is going through history stuff. He's going and finding, like, this isn't real, this isn't real. He's got all sorts of stuff. The guy said he's got so much information. So anyways, if you're interested in more of the bullshit, hidden history, lie shit that they tell us, then this guy, I guess, has a lot of good stuff. But, you know, the Tartarian stuff too. You can look up any of that kind of stuff. There's just so much. Like, our reality, is just a made up fucking bullshit. Oh, and on a positive thing though. So there was 70 countries that he was going to recede the tariffs on, and now it's up to 90 or something. You got to remember, this has to do with the peace treaty. So everybody wants on board with this thing. So it's going to be playing out somehow about this. I told my mom, confirmation, I told my mom it's kind of like they are, because the peace treaty and stuff, but it's kind of like, you know, we're all going on to the same thing. We're all going on to the gold standard and stuff, and onto this peace treaty is all these different countries. But so it's kind of like that, this is what the tariff thing, and now they put this huge one on China, and then the stuff about the land and stuff, and more people are signing on. But I wonder if this is how they're going to finagle us into the gold standard. Something, it's got to have something to do with this. But then the market started going back up, so I don't know necessarily that it's going to be the market crash, because maybe that is going to freak too many people out, and that could have been a made-up story too. So it would keep us on that parameter of like, oh God, we don't want that to happen again, you know. So they make this shit up, and then, well, you know, they lead us with that. But I don't know, you know, how it's going to go. But I was like, well, if all these places are signing on, maybe they're going to be just like, oh, well, we're going to go on this other money trade thing where we're all going to be sharing resources, and we're going to be in peace, and we're all going to be on the gold standard. So maybe they're going to do it, you know, more gently, and then as things play out, they're going to make sure we understand the crimes, because there's lots of people who still don't see the crimes and the laundry problem and who you can trust and who you can't trust. They're just on board. They're just on board. They think Elon and Donald are trying to take over the world, and these other guys are trying to save us. It's like, it's so weird. It's like they're looking at reality in the mirror or something, and they're about to see it in front of them, and it's going to be the opposite of what they thought. So they've got this big spring forward thing going, where they're going to all of a sudden see things that they didn't see, which is going to throw them, because the ego is going to be like, oh, I know everything, I'm the smartest. And then all of a sudden you throw them a wrench in the fucking water, and they're going to be like I said, it's almost like that they see the thing, and then the next response is like, oh shit, how did I not see this? And then it's like this emperor's new clothes moment of shame, of like embarrassment, like, oh, did everybody else notice? Oh yeah, we all noticed. We've all been talking. We've all seen who can see and who can't see, but it's not something to be embarrassed of, because you're always going to wake up when you're supposed to wake up. But that is what their ego has to face in order to find their own balance. So they're going to go through it. They're going to go through feeling really stupid and dependent, and why would I let him do this? And I was feeling sick, I wasn't doing this. And things are so simple. Like, going natural is so simple. Taking care of yourself, trying to make sure you're eating right, and taking care, just, you know, well, what does it mean to take care of yourself? Well, resting when you're tired, eating when you're hungry, getting exercise, moving around. And one thing too, like this, I think is important. Okay, 'cause, you know, I'm mid-60s. My mom's in the early 80s, and yeah, she had me when she was a teenager. And so which is a whole nother dynamic. Is a girl growing up with a mom who was a teenager. Like, there's a whole nother dynamic there. Like, there's lots of stuff. Like, you know, it's not some simple thing. So, anyways, she keeps having these projects. Well, now she's blind too, and she can't see, so I'm having to do these things, and there's lots of issues. So I, you know, I'm having to go do these projects. Well, I always love projects anyways, but then you also, you know, you have that thing of like, oh, I wouldn't really want to go do it right now. I was resting. But anyways, so you go and do stuff sometimes where it's like, oh, I don't want to do this right now. But so it's kind of like you're on somebody else's schedule when you're on somebody else's, you know, living in somebody else's garage. So anyways, going in, and the job yesterday, it turned into this bigger one, and it turned into this whole drama, because my dog, Max, is the fucking master of getaway. he just went and opened 2 gates. I'm sure it was him. I'm sure he just takes those. I bet he's more ambidextrous with these little fingers than he lets on. I'm just like, but whatever. He got both those gates open, or whoever did it. But of course, the 2 boys take off. They just took off. So I'm in here working, have no idea. They're out roaming the neighborhood like little. When I got them, they were total gremlin. I mean, especially him. His eyes are bulging. It's like, fuck, dude. You get yourself crazy. And they're both just like whacked out. Like, who knows what adrenaline was pumping through them. Stella, thank God. She, like, they definitely, dogs around here. My mom can't stand it. And, but you get out in the country, you got a lot of that kind of shit. And so, and you'd think, you know, well, you're living around around the lake with all these fucking mansions, that people wouldn't do that. Oh, yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. So, there's even one of her friends said that they'll go out there with their things and just get geese, ducks, just whatever, just for fun. Who cares about that? That doesn't matter. They don't live. It's like, what the fuck, man? So, let me think back where I was. Oh, yeah, so Stella, thank God that she didn't take off. I don't know if she went far and then just came back. I don't know. But, yeah, they definitely take those ones out. Big ones like that. So, they look scary and bark. So anyways, I come out and she's sitting there, but the project was this door thing, and she wanted to put in this accordion door, and it wasn't framed in or anything, and then there wasn't wood, so then we had to look around, find some wood. So it was like this kind, but anyways, it turned out good. It turned out really, she was so excited. So I had to do this whole door frame, and then hang up this accordion door and do all of that, and it was hard, especially when it's like, oh, I don't want to do this right now. And then you run into things. It's like, oh. But you just try, go in, get it done. And so anyways, or something we were talking about. It's sometimes like, I don't know. She says things just like, oh, that I'm skinny or something. And so there was something, maybe it was the hammer, because I hammered the nails in on the door frame thing. And they were big ass nails, and this big ass hammer and stuff. I remember, I don't know, it's just like this constant, well, I used to be able to do that. Well, I used to be able to do that. And it's like, well, you can feel like you're strong now, but, you'll lose it. I used to be able to do that too. It's like, so I said, well, I'm not going to stop. And that's the thing. Is like, how do you lose it? How would you get weaker unless you stop? You would not. You would be able to, whatever you can do when you're 40, if you keep doing it, you're going to be able to do it when you're 90. Whatever you can do when you're 20, if you keep doing it, you're going to be able to do it. It doesn't decline. It's like, to me, what happens is, in some cases, people are going to work all the time. They're tired. They get married. They have kids. Their kids have got this. They've got that. Or, so they start being more indulgent in those things and don't have so much time for themselves. They don't take as good a care of themselves. And so their health begins to decline. Their stamina, their strength begins to decline. And then it just keeps going and going and going, especially like when people get to be, up here in this age, then people are like, oh, you wake up, you're sore. And then it's like, oh, I don't want to do anything, I don't want to do it. And then people have money, they hire somebody to do stuff, they stop doing things, and they get weaker. And then they just keep deteriorating, get weaker and weaker and weaker, get more tight, your muscles get more atrophied, you get more stiff, you get more crunched. So, you got to do your stretching. You got to do your strength. You got to do your movement. Keep everything limber. Keep everything working. And you can't stop doing that. You just can't. You have to keep doing it. And as long as you are breathing, you got to make that a part of your thing. Otherwise, you will deteriorate. And so, to me, it's like, well, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop doing this stuff. And she goes, oh, well, I've got a lot of projects, and, I'll give you another one. And I was like, well, also, it's the exercise. I do weights. I do, you got to do all of these things. You got to walk up and down the driveway. You got to walk up and down the stairs. You got to go do stretches. You got to go do strength. And then, this is one thing I noticed, is when I had a house where I would have projects and stuff, you would go do a project, it would kick your fucking ass if you hadn't been building your strength and your stamina the whole time. And so you had to continue, even on the days you don't have any projects, you have to continue to do the things. And that's why when I started exercising, when I was doing the projects and stuff, then you start getting the idea of what your body needs to do. You need to be able to go pick something up, hold it, lift it, maybe pick it up, put it over your head. There's all these movements. Well, that's all different muscle groups. So when you're doing your exercise, you need to be doing, and you learn different movements and stuff by going and doing projects and seeing oh, well, I got to get down like this a lot, and then I got to do this a lot. So you start seeing, and it's okay, so I'm going to get my weights. I'm going to do this a lot. I'm going to work on these muscles. I'm going to do some other ones because I don't want to just do these ones. I got to do these ones too, and these ones too, and these ones too. And so you got to do, just every day, if you were moving boxes, if you were holding things up, if you were, trying to hold it with your knee and screw it with your, you got to try all these different things and stretching and pulling yourself and stuff. So it is, you keep yourself, the aging thing isn't what people think. It's really a collapsing of you taking care of yourself. And then on top of it, the flood of chemicals and shit that just drain you. They take all the color out of your hair, take all of the minerals out of your bones. They flood your organs and your filter system, your liver, your kidney, all that stuff gets flooded with chemicals. And then just that alone, just the not detoxing could give you the brain fog. And this is the thing, if you're not doing these natural things, if you're not doing these cleanses and stuff, then it's not accurate. Whatever test you do and shit is not accurate. If you are living your best and you still have this brain fog and all that, then, go and see. But it all comes back down to it's parasites or it's chemicals. That always goes back to the same shit. So what are you going to do about those? You're going to have to detox. You're going to have to cleanse. So it's not all their shit, their autoimmune, their sicknesses, all their shit comes from the same stuff. So to me, it's pretty simple, but people think, oh no, we need these tests, we need these drugs, we need this diagnosis, we need that, we need these limitations. And it's medical practice is so limiting, and people just so surrender to it. Well, this is what I got. Well, I'm gonna die. Which, I was also thinking about the long drawn out death. Winston, my dog, he had the cancer. Stella, she's been sick since I got her. I've definitely gone through that, taking care of somebody when they're sick for a long period of time. So, but you'll get those things in life, the things you're supposed to learn about, you'll get them, and they come to you in different ways. So anyways, and everything that plays out is what it's supposed to play out. So somebody being sick in that family circle or dynamic is for the whole group. It's for all of the things. And then when you're, awakening, and you see everybody playing their roles, and they're not going improv at all. They're just staying on the script. And it's just I don't know, it's aggravating, but this is all awakening, and this is all things happening that people are going to be facing the other side. And so you just, you get frustrated. Like, it's frustrating for sure, but you just gotta let go of it and let it play out. Like, I just saw this, I think it was an AI person, but it's the more of the Eastern philosophy about karma. Well, with a few different things, I think. But um, she said on karma, uh, when somebody takes money from you, like somebody borrows some money and then they steal it from you, they don't, or they steal it just outright, or they just don't pay you back or whatever, then they, in its intentions, like maybe they just forgot and you needed to have boundaries to remind them, or maybe they just were like, fuck them, I'm not paying them. Because I've had that happen too. But then this is how she said it. So when they take that from you, that's their karma, and you receive their good fortune, and they get bad energy that follows with them. So it is that there were some more good things she said, but that's what I'm like. The universe takes care of this stuff. You don't have to go get revenge and stuff. It happens naturally. And so it's always best to just let things go. Don't run around thinking you got to get revenge, you got to do this, and you got to do that, because that puts you in a karmic entanglement, this hitting each other back and forth kind of thing. The wiser mind is more of a, like stationary, more like a independent thinker, more of a internalizing, or more of a, what is that called? It, what is that called? Man, both those words I can't see. Extrovert. Oh, introvert and an extrovert. So yeah, because the higher mind is more of like an introversion. It's more of an introspection. And so you, it's like a reevaluating. It's just like the wiser side of yourself. And so, I don't remember why I was saying that, but anyways, that is where, people are going to see this wiser side of themselves. They're going to see, like, why wasn't I doing that? Why was I not thinking that? This submissive part of themselves, this surrendering their health. But anyways, before you start doing any of that stuff, you got to go in and be doing all the right things, like taking care of yourself, exercising, getting your blood flowing, getting, guys, that oxygenate your blood, which is going to oxygenate your mind. So you got to be out there getting movement, moving your hands, even if it's all you do is getting your hands above your head and getting the blood flow, so that you are stimulating blood into your mind, oxygenated blood into your mind. Because that's a good important thing about breathing deep and stuff, which I'm still not coughing, and I'm still like this stopped up stuff. It just seems like regular kind of, not like what I had going. And so whatever, something totally improved on mine. With all the, because it could have been the patches, but it's just as weird how it was, so that stuff blew in my face, and then how all that cleared up, and then it's for clearing out fungi and all that. Well, it clears out a whole bunch of stuff. I put some links in somebody's comment, I think it was yesterday or something, but anyways, I put some links to some stuff on that if you want to go in and see. There's more information about it. It's just when I was looking at some of the information, it just was sounding scary, because it was what I got slammed with. And on Google, it was just like, it's bad, it's poison, it's this, it's that. And then my mom found more of these people talking about the benefits and stuff. So, Google is not going to do us right. And so listen to people's testimonials, and then you can look stuff up, but a lot of people share a lot of the information, and so they share the studies and stuff, just like artists sharing all those studies and stuff, so you can see where it comes from, just like this guy who has this history thing, he's sharing all of this resources and all the information. You can go look for more. It just depends on your personality, what it is that you need or whatever. So, Because a lot of people, it's like, that can give you a direction to look into. And then a lot of people are like, well, I'm satisfied with this information. I find that a lot. Like, I'll look at their information. But information to me, it's always just come to me. It just comes to me. And and then there can be stuff like will come to me and I'll be like, I wonder about this. And then I'll go look up more stuff about it. But there's some people who are just are researching all the time. But I find a lot of stuff that from all these people who are researching stuff all the time, sharing their information. And you can see, like, the people who get really into the Tartarian stuff. Like, you can go research, but these people have done a shit ton of research. And if you don't trust their research, then you can go look for more of your own. But there's tons of stuff out there. Tons of stuff about the caves. There's tons of stuff about tons of stuff. Because there's always going to be somebody who's out there looking. And if there's not, you can be the one who's looking and sharing your resources so everybody else can see it. If you have some interest. But there's so many different things out there. Glitches, giant. There's so much stuff out there. So, and that's going to be more of, our real world, this medical tyranny, fucking weird taxes for breathing world is going. But it's just so crazy how many people just surrender to it, just to participate, to keep it afloat. They don't want it to go down. It makes sense to them. It's like, you're a slave. You're a slave to your life. You don't get to really live. You don't get to really experience. You're too concerned what everybody else thinks. There's like a lot of problems with that. But anyways, before you start going and doing, taking more meds for something, go and do all the detoxing, do all the things that take care of you. Get your blood oxygenated, breathe deep, ask your body what's going on. I keep asking about, like, what's going on with this, man? And I don't know. Sometimes the answer comes in different ways, but yeah, it's weird. And but your body is telling you things all the time. It's like, what was that one? Because my mom is having such a problem with this jaw, and she said it started because she wore this bigger bite plate, and so it caused, I don't know, like some kind of spasm, but she's got all this tension right now. She's got all this stuff going on, and I said, that's where you're going to hold your tension. You got to keep rubbing it. And then this whole thing with the lymph, and that one doctor guy or whoever, he was like, you got to put this like a V in front of your ear and behind your ear, and then you got to rub it and get all the tension and the fluid and the lymph and stuff and move it down. Because I had that so bad, and I'm not having it at all. And so she's having a really hard time. It's clicking out. She's having a hard time talking. And so I keep saying, it's about this tension. You're holding this tension. You got to keep rubbing it and try and, decrease the tension that you're holding, because your body's showing you, your body's telling you. And so your body starts having the tension and starts causing pain to show you that you are having an issue. What other issues are here? And so how I explain it is like, so you have your joint here, and I think it's kind of like a ball and socket kind of part. And so then you have about a zillion little ligaments here, all of mandibular, all your chewing, all these little ligaments. And so they, so then when you're feeling tense and you're tightening that, all those little ligaments start pulling. And especially if you don't have like, I think most everybody, like not that many people have like the perfect bite. And so you can be biting and your tension could be holding, like you're stepping on one foot, leaning on one hip or something on your face. And so you're leaning on one side with your bite, and then you have this tension and you're holding your jaw really tight. And so then it's kind of like these muscles pull this joint. And so it's not in right, kind of like Stella's hip dysplasia. So it's pulled out, it's not in right. So then you keep feeling it, it keeps hurting. but it's the muscles that are holding it. You got to get the muscles relaxed so that it will quit pulling on here. So it's the muscles that are tight. This isn't going to come out and stay out unless the muscles are holding it out. So you have to release the muscle tension to get this to go back into place. And then all of the inflammation and stuff, you got to push and rub it and get the tension and stuff. So you got the tension, which that also has to do with you realizing like, oh man, I'm holding my jaw. I gotta relax, let it go, and catching yourself so you can release the tension and notice. And so I have been doing that a lot, like start noticing like, oh, I'm clenching my jaw, so just relax. And then I do a lot of stretching too. Because just right there, you just don't even realize how much you hold it. And it's like the same thing. You don't want your ligaments to like start atrophying or something. So you want to, because when you see like the Eastern philosophy of not aging, there's a lot of stuff about face yoga and exercising these muscles and stuff, and pulling your muscles back up and all that. So, and a lot of those people look younger from doing that. So you need to do that. But just right there, you can see like, man, that's tight already, because it's like, it's kind of pulling tight. It's not just like real limber in there. So anyways, but I do those kinds of things all the time. And she said she's doing that, and she keeps rubbing it, and she got the CBD stuff and she's putting it on it, but it's really, really bad and it keeps coming out. But anyways, so when you're having those things, your body's showing you and telling you the state you're in, but you got to know how to go at it. And so anyways, but that is how, you know, those will pull. And then if you pull it on your bite, and so you're like you're holding your tension, but it's not equal on both sides. Then so anyways, it's just stuff to think about or realize. And then you can also use heat or cold to try and reduce the inflammation and stuff. And so much stuff just has to do with you just loving yourself and caring for yourself and giving yourself time and taking the time to rub and think about like the things that bother you and figuring out how to relax, go into thinking about, you know, it's like a reflection and a release or something. So, there's just a lot of stuff, just like letting go of it and stuff. And my mom has said, you know, that she's very stressed out about death and stuff. Death really gets her. But it always trips me out is like the Christian, the God, that whole situation. But see, they have the pressure in their religion of not everybody goes to heaven. And so I don't know. I don't know how it all plays the game in their head, how they see it. But to me, death isn't something that we should be being so sad about. It should be so much more celebrated. We should be so much more like it's a completion. This person completed what they came here to do. How exciting for them. And so we should be a lot more celebrating. And I don't know. I mean, their soul's right there with you. And I think when your soul, when they come out of their body and they're hanging out, and then we're all so sad and they just want, you know, like they're happy. It's almost like they have to feel guilty because they're happy. So they want to go around, oh, it's going to be okay. They're trying to make everybody feel better. But then people can't hear them. And then they go into their dreams trying to talk to them. And then people just feel so downer and sad. But if they came out of their body, you know, and we were all sitting around talking about what a great person. Oh my God, remember when we did this and that time we did that. It was such a good time. And man, I'm just so happy for them. They completed their thing. What a celebration. We made it a party. We made it a celebration instead of a sad mourning. Oh my God, it's so horrible. They're gone. And it's more like we're all still here. We're just mourning because we're all still here. But really, we should be celebrating. We should be excited and happy for them. And, you know, there is some that are so tragic and it's such a stab, such a loss, you know, kids and stuff like that. And then the people have big things to go through with that loss, because when you lose a kid, you have this feeling of like, they don't have anybody there to protect them. I've got to protect them. What are they gonna? And you just have to remember, like, no, this is a full ass grown soul. It's not a little kid. They've been to as many rodeos as you. They know how to take care of themselves. They're not going up and as a little orphan in heaven looking for somebody to take care of them. No, they're grown ass adult. They're going back to reunion with the rest of the people and going and seeing people and zapping on to the next life, the next thing that they have planned. So it's not something that we need to mourn in that way. But, you know, there's so many people that don't look at the soul like that. They really think like a little kid is a little baby soul or something. Well, you know, think about all the things you knew as a kid. Think about the things you were aware of as a kid. I mean, right now we've got all these little savants, all these little gifted kids going around. Like, a clear indication that people are born with talents and stuff. Well, where did you get them from? You don't just come with you. Not like some people are born with this ear and some people aren't. No, it's because you have had these experiences and you carry them forward. It's a part of your DNA structure. It's a part of who you are. And so, yeah, if you were a great piano player in one life, then you're going to have an ear for it. You're going to be able to just sit down and be like, man, I can play the piano. It's just, you know, it's a part of you. And so the more that people realize like how really spectacular they are, how really in depth they are, how many talents, how many things they can do, but they just focus on this stuff that is, you know, at the forefront, you know, the stuff, the dramas and stuff they want you to get to focus on, so you don't have time to focus on yourself, so you don't get to see like, fuck, I'm pretty cool. But anyways, those are just the kind of things that I like see where, you know, we should be celebrating when people go. And there's a lot of people who just become so sad and so overwhelmingly burdened by it. But that's going to be a part of the awakening too. It's going to be a part, there's going to be a lot of things, a lot of spiritual outlooks, a lot of ways, but, you know, definitely taking care of yourself before you run and try and have them tell you what's wrong with you. When you're not even at that point, then you got a lot of things wrong with you. They can just pick it out of the hat at that point. Because it can be the chemicals, it can be the parasites, it can be anything. You could have tumors, you could have shit-ass blood, you could have a shitty heart, you could have your organs are failing. It can be a lot of shit. But you need to go out and clear it out, clean it up, and take care of yourself. And oxygenating your blood is, you can get that from exercise, breathing in a lot of oxygen and then moving around so it goes through your whole body. And don't forget, it's got to get way up here and it's got to get way down there. So you got to keep that shit going. So exercise isn't just so you can go to the gym and look good. No, it's because there's a point to it. Because even when I told my mom yesterday, I said, I'm not just skinny. Because she was like, man, you are strong. And I was like, yeah, I know, I am strong. And so then I was like, I'm not just skinny, I'm fucking strong. And then it's like, well, you know, I was back then too. It's like, yeah, well, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to, you know, it doesn't matter. You know, if you get sick and you've been sick for a week, your body is trying to tell you something with that too. And then it's hard to get back into the thing, you know, or you just don't feel like it. I'm tired. I just don't want to do it. You got to push yourself. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself being older and not being able to do shit. You're not going to be able to pick things up. You're not going to be able to hold things. You're going to be tired from everything. If you do much, it's a burden to your muscles. And it's like you're trying to do this. It's like, oh, God, I'm suffering for days on that. It's like, no, you want to be able to get in there and do this shit and be okay, because that's going to keep you being able to do it. As long as you keep going, there's no reason. But also, you got to be taking minerals and stuff, because you will be deteriorating. If you are being mineral deficient, then you will have things that will deteriorate. Because it will be drawing the minerals. When your hair is given the minerals drawn, it's drawn from your bones. Your organs aren't getting fully oxygenated. They're not getting the blood supply they need, and they're being burdened by chemicals. So they're all stopped up with a bunch of goddamn chemicals and whatever, the PFASs and forever chemicals and all this shit. So that's why you gotta detox and all that. So anyways, a healthy lifestyle makes such a difference on your health. And there's so many people who think like, oh no, I don't have to do that. I just gotta go in the doctor. He's gonna give me this and I'll be fine. Yeah, I don't have blood pressure problems. I just take this. It's like, yeah, well, you can take care of yourself and you won't have that, because that is not going to fix anything, and you're going to have more problems. Your heart's going to start failing. You're going to start having strokes. You're going to start having all these things. No, you got to go towards, and we do have this added thing now of like having to realize like, fuck, we're shorted on minerals. Like, it was more to this food thing than just having fun eating it and putting a lot of butter and sugar on it. No. It also had nutrition, and then they started messing with it and taking the nutrition out. They took the minerals out and left us with stuff that was just fattening. Like, it's so crazy how they did that. Like, they took stuff out of the food to make it more toxic for us. So those are things, you got to be aware of. You got to be aware of how your body works and what you need. If you need iron, you need magnesium, you need copper. Like, those ones are really influential, and a lot of people are in lack of them. And so it's very much a part of having to do that. So a healthy lifestyle is like being mindful of what it is that you take in, and realizing like you got to put in extra effort to take in the minerals and stuff. So anyways, it's just the things that we need to look at, and then in relationships and stuff. And then also, you got to believe that you deserve your health. You deserve to have good relationships and stuff. People just are sinking so much into depression and victim and sickness and surrender. It's just like this whole way that we're going, this decline in our society. But it's like it's going off the cliff. But I'm telling you, there's going to be a flipping. I don't know how many people I got to go over before it flips, but there's going to be a flipping, and people are going to be looking at it way different. People are going to see like, oh my God, so I don't have to go and be an slave to this insurance company for all the meds I need and stuff. You mean I don't even need these? I could go out and get them, these minerals. I could go out and take care of myself, and all of a sudden I won't have these issues. Well, yep, that's exactly what I'm saying. You don't have to have the issues that you're having, and this system will just add on more issues. It's just a facade. So anyways, my health is so, there's no comparison to where I was and where I'm at. And I've aged throughout. So how is it I've gotten better? I've gotten better and healthier, and my hair's gotten turning cut, like all that stuff. Like, so I'm just one example. There's more examples besides me. I'm not just some modern miracle. It's a real thing. It's a real lifestyle, and we can all choose it. We can all choose our health of being able to be the one who's taking care of it, and not being dependent on these fucking fools in the white lab coats that don't know what the fuck they're doing except for just taking payoffs and shit. Like, I don't know. I just rant about it. It's just so fucking absurd. Anyways, let's look at the hair thing. But, there's lots of, just communication and conversations, misunderstandings, and you just got to stand for your own truth, what you believe. Don't get caught up in what other people think, and let go of shit, but have boundaries. Like, it's a whole thing. Like, and everybody's got their own. I can't just be like, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this. And because everybody's maybe a little different. You may need to turn right when I turn left. So you have to determine your own self. But there's just certain parameters. Like, having boundaries is, a clear indicator of where you stop, and not being merged in with what everybody else needs. And that is very much about healing the toxic relationships, like I said. Otherwise, you become a narcissist trying to control people. You become a control freak. You become a manipulator, judging people and trying to make them feel bad. You become an enabler. You become you've got to save them. Oh, what a burden. And then you become this toxic drama queen telling everybody like what you're doing, and you're doing this and you're doing that, and oh, you're all on your own. And so like all these things are not things that we want in our, those are all toxic things. And so it's a mass cleaning. It's the cleanse of all that. The awakening is the cleanse, man. It is like the cleansing your soul to go forward into where it's clean, where there's light, where you can be seen, and it's not going to be embarrassing. You're going to be proud of yourself. Look at what I can accomplish. Look what I can do for myself. I mean, just on my own thing of being able to, my health, of being able to turn it around and take care of it and do all this stuff. Go in, even when they're trying to find things. And that one nurse practitioner, when I had to go get the physical, to get the explant, because of my age, well, you gotta do this, they just keep you fucking jumping through the fucking hoops, I swear to God. But that woman, oh my God, she was desperate to find something wrong with me. She was desperate to get me on some fucking prescriptions. And she was just going at it. It was mental. And she's like, well, they were going to do basic labs just for the physical, right? No, she went in depth. She just was, she was going to find something. And she couldn't find anything. And even when she was sure, well, no, I'm sure you've got the Hep C. That was just a fluke. And so got all testing on that again to make, to prove that, I really did have it. I was really sickly and stuff, and I need to get on meds. And she was wrong. I was healed from it and stuff. And there was something just coming into my mind when I just said that, because the healed, the sickness, I don't know, something just came up through my head. But anyways, I just heard the turkeys. They're the cutest. I love that little, the way they gobble. It's the cutest thing. But anyways, the whatever I was gonna say, medical, the labs, the man, hell, I'm just hitting into a blank. I'm trying to remember what it was I was gonna say. It got me off of what I was saying. So I don't know. Just take care of yourself. That's what I gotta say about it. Just take care of yourself. And once you focus on that, the information will start coming to you. It will come to you because you're putting that energy out, and it will feed back to you. So you'll start finding out more things that you can do to take care of yourself, and more things that'll make you feel better. But that is definitely the direction that we're all going to be going. Is an independent sovereignty to our health, to our finances, to our independent thinking. And it's to reach all those things, though, you have to see what has held you back from being there. So those are the parts where people are going to be like, mad at themselves, or looking at themselves, questioning themselves. But those are the things that they need to heal. So anyways, whatever I was going to say, I don't know. Let's just look at my tooth and move on with the day. So anyways, that's that. It just keeps getting even better. Your health really, like, it's crazy. Like, we don't need dentists. We don't need all this shit. It's just it's wacky. And then when it gets all the way back to the fucking Rothschilds and the Rockefeller vampire motherfuckers and what they've done to control us and stuff, and tell us we need this and that, and then we just buy on. It's like, but I guess, make us sick and then tell us that you can help us. But once you start realizing, oh, they're making us sick. But anyways, there's a lot of stuff to think about. Realize the awakening is big, broad spectrum. It's a big old thing, and it gets way bigger when you start realizing what it's all about is getting you back to being your spirit side, back to the connection to your spirit, and seeing life through life as much bigger. It's like everything was out here, but you were focused on this. And so now the more that you open this, the more that you're going to realize all this was out there. And that's why the magic of this world is going to suddenly be present for so many people. But it's so scary because they were so focused on this and they were believing like nothing else is real. It's just this. And no, there's a whole fucking world out there. There was giants, there was Bigfoots, there was ghosts, there was Loch Ness monsters, there's aliens, there's dragons, there's unicorns, there's fairies, there's gnomes, there's realms, there's realities, there's every fucking thing. There's bugs that are out there that are living lives and thinking. There's octopus or creatures. There's everything has a soul. Everything is having an experience and stuff. So anyways, it's a whole nother level to life than what people realize. So that's more what the awakening is about, is that your connection to yourself. But then you connecting to yourself is where you start seeing like where you're disconnected. And there's such a surrender in health. And the way that people just pile on more pills and piling on more pills, and it's not gonna make you better. And the simplicity behind getting better, you know, just taking care of yourself and getting up and doing your stretches and being active and again, making sure you get your minerals and your vitamins. It's just like all of a sudden you're just healthy. But just remember though, because there's the emotional, there's the mind, body, spirit, and your emotions, your self-esteem, and all of those have to do with your mental health, has to do with your emotional, your physical. So it all goes together. So, you know, and it's a big thing because all these people in this victim mentality, they haven't learned how to love themselves. They're looking outside of themselves, and it just creates a very toxic atmosphere because of all of the toxic ways that people try and get the things they need. And so it's way better to just get down to being real and being honest and being authentic. But you got to have boundaries. You can't just be like willy-nilly about everything. You got to be staying strong like the oak tree that you are. You know, just be strong in who you are and knowing. And, you know, sometimes, yeah, you're going to hurt people's feelings. Sometimes you just got to let it go. Sometimes we get our feelings hurt by people. And they can be trying to jab back too, but you know, but do you mean things in a mean way? Maybe they don't mean things in a mean way either. Some who just let go of shit. So that's all a part of, you know, the awakening. That's all part of the reevaluation of self, the moving into your best self. So anyways, it's a big thing. Learning how to love yourself, learning how to love everyone, and learning how to have the day that you want to have through love and acceptance and all that stuff. So anyways, it's out there, and that's where we're headed. So we will talk about it again tomorrow. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.